Hey everybody, Ray here. Want to talk with you all a little bit today about a game that a lot of people aren't really talking about right now. That maybe we should start talking about and thinking about, and maybe they're not talking about it for good reason. The game I'm talking about is Final Fantasy XVI. What we can expect. This is going to be. I feel like it's going to be a PlayStation 5. I don't feel like there's going to be a version of this game on PS4. There's going to be some overlap between generations, but I think this will be exclusively on PS5 probably, and the next Xbox and PC and all of that. But right now, I know Square-Enix has got their hands full, obviously, with Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy XIV still ongoing. They've got teams scattered all over the place doing these kinds of things, and the subsequent entries of Final Fantasy VII Remake that are going to be happening. But I feel like it's time to start kind of thinking about it, because the Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3, they've definitely got their fan bases and their followings, but I feel like there's a big contingent of fans who were not, let's just say, not enamored with what they got from those games. The Final Fantasy 15 did the Royal Edition, and it fixed a lot of the problems with the game, but by then everybody had already played it, and a lot of people didn't play that version of the game, which I can relate. I didn't play that version of the game either, so I feel like there's an opportunity here for Square Enix to kind of right the ship and kind of go back to basics with Final Fantasy, and that's what I'm kind of hoping they do. That's what I'm kind of hoping they do with this next installment, because there are a bunch of... I have like a wish list, okay? And the reason I'm making this video is because I was talking with a fellow fan the other day about this wish list. And I'm gonna share a little bit with you all about it. First and foremost on my list of things I would love to see from Final Fantasy XVI, before I even get into kind of how I want the game to be, I'm going to start with a breakdown of who the team I would like to see on this, and then you'll get an idea for where I'm going with the kind of game I would like to see. So first and foremost, I know he's got Mistwalker Studios or whatever he's doing with Xbox, or if that's even still a thing. I'm not really sure, but Hironobu Sakaguchi, one last ride on a Final Fantasy game would be awesome. Bring him back to direct, get Kazushige Nojima to write the scenario. Yeah, Nojima, I know he's going to be busy. He's busy now, but he's got such a brilliant mind. He's such a great storyteller. I would love to see him on Final Fantasy XVI. And get Naoki Yoshida to... that's right, Yoshi P. Get Naoki Yoshida to produce on this thing. Because Final Fantasy XIV, since he's been taken over as producer on that, has been magnificent. It's been a magnificent experience for the players, for the company, all around. I think he's doing a killer job with that game. So I would love to see Yoshi P as the producer on this game. So you get Sakaguchi to direct, you get Nojima to write the story, the scenario, and you get Yoshi P producing this thing. And I think you've got the beginnings of a really killer team to put this game together. As far as the score and the music, I would love to see Yasunori Mitsuda write the music for it. If you all don't know who that is, that's cool. You'll know his music. He did the music for Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. He was the composer for those games. The Xeno series, he did. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he did Xenogears, the Xenosaga games. He's done a bunch of other games. I think he did Final Fantasy 15 Episode Ignis. I think he did the music for Episode Ignis. I think that was the one he did. But if you can't get him, I would love to see them do Hitoshi Sakimoto. He was the composer on Final Fantasy 12. Either one of those, I think those would be great to write the score. I say Mitsuda because he has this flair for Celtic arrangements in his music. and it sounds magnificent. If you all have listened to I'm sure you have, if you're watching this video, you've probably listened to the Chrono Trigger and the Chrono Cross scores. They're just amazing. They're on my studio playlist all the time. He's just an amazing, he's got an amazing mind for music, and I think he would be a perfect fit for what I would love to see them do with Final Fantasy XVI. And of course, Masayoshi Soken is he's doing great work with Final Fantasy XIV, but I don't want this to be like taking Final Fantasy XIV's team and just making Final Fantasy XVI. That's not really what I like. That would be fine. But that's not really what I want to see them do. As far as the artists to design this world and design the look and the concepts of this world, I have to go with my guy Yoshitaka Amano. First up, he is my favorite artist of all time. He is my artist idol. Like, the reason I got this sketch desk back here and I do paintings and art for people is because of Yoshitaka Amano. Vampire Hunter D, Final Fantasy, not a bad 2 gigs to have if you're an artist. So, and other stuff. He's done work for Sandman in American comics. I mean, he's done all different kinds of things. So he would be, I want to see him do artwork for this game. I want to see him produce stuff for this game. And then you've also got Akihiko Yoshida, who he's done numerous Final Fantasy games. Chief among them for me were Final Fantasy Tactics, which was an amazing game, which that's the game that turned me on to his artwork. And then you had Final Fantasy 12, and he's done some other subsequent Final Fantasy stories. He also was the artist on Vagrant Story. If you see the cover artwork for Vagrant Story, that is him. That is his work. So I think those 2 artists would be the artists I would bring in to bring this world to life. So I think, using those things as a barometer, I think you all know where I'm going with this. I want to see Final Fantasy XVI go back to the realm of high fantasy. Really make it like fantasy. You can scatter in like some low-tech stuff here and there. Of course, you need to have air vehicles and stuff like that, and like I would like to see complex machines and big, huge, massive machines, and of course some machine boss fights and stuff. But I mean, nothing like super slick looking. I don't want it to look super slick, high tech, anything like that. Final Fantasy 13, there were areas of Final Fantasy 13 for me, and even 15, that were just, it was too sweet, high tech looking. I want it to look a little bit rougher, kind of like the tech looks in Final Fantasy VI. I think I would be fine with that, because you need airships and things like that. But yeah, like if you want to go maybe a little bit more low tech than Final Fantasy VI, because they're just coming out of Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy 15 at this point when they start developing this game. So I think a nice palette cleanser would be something like that. So I want to also see a heavy emphasis on not a central character, but an ensemble of characters. Kind of like the feel of Octopath Traveler, just because I feel like the best stories, when Square-Enix tells their best stories, you're invested in many characters. Like Final Fantasy 13, I wasn't super invested in anybody but Lightning, which is fine. Lightning's a cool character. I mean, but the other characters, I mean, they at points they just kind of seemed like they were there. It's the first game. The first game anyway, the first part of Final Fantasy 13. And then, of course, in Final Fantasy 15, you're running around with the 4 guys. So I want to see a more diverse cast of characters. I want to see some different races. Like, I want to see maybe even some creatures, like not creatures, but some monster type characters even be in your party. I think that would be fantastic. I think and that kind of leads me into another point. I want to see a Chrono Trigger Magus type of character. I want to see like a villain turned ally, not just like an antagonistic character like a Cypher from Final Fantasy VIII or something like that. Like a villain. I want to see a villain that you're going after go on this like reformed kind of like redemption story arc by joining your party, realizing the error of their ways, or maybe you have like a common thing you're chasing after, a common goal. And then you could see the character arc. They start with you from like let's start with you from like a selfish perspective. Okay, they're stronger than you. You're going to join them now because you both have the same goal. But as the story goes along, they start to Vegeta on you a little bit. You know what I mean? They start to turn. They start to kind of warm up, and by the end of the story, they're a reformed, decent, good person and an asset to the world. I want to see that story play out because I don't really feel like we get that a whole lot anymore. And if we are getting it, I'm not seeing it in the stuff I'm playing anyway. I love that kind of story. I love that type of story. I want to see the political implications in the world, like navigating the stuff of like kings and queens and elected officials and stuff like that, like the intrigue and all that kind of stuff that affects the world around you. That has always been the case I think in good fantasy, really good deep fantasy tales. They draw on our real world for that. The people in charge affect the world around you by way of their decisions, good or ill. And I want to see that play into the themes of Final Fantasy XVI. I think Square-Enix does a fantastic job with that kind of thing. And I would like to see that as one of the main story points of the game. I want to see a large and like constantly evolving world. Like a world where your decisions and your side quests that you take on or refuse to take on affect the world around you, and it develops in a certain way. Like if somebody says, hey, can you help us go take out this detachment of soldiers that are attacking this village? And if you say no, or you decide not, like, why wouldn't you do it? I mean, it's free EXP and gil. You know what I mean? It's extra EXP and gil and maybe some items. But I mean, that village could have someone there that affects like something that happens in the story later on. Whereas if you don't take that quest or you don't succeed on that quest, that person dies, and then this thing that happens later on happens in a different way. That's one example. There's several examples I could cite. But I want to start moving forward with next gen. I want to see people that make JRPGs and role-playing games in general. No more fetch quests, no more just go kill this monster and get some gold. You need those. Those need to be there, but that doesn't need to be 80% of your side quests. Make that 15 to 20% of your side quests. Make it, for every 5 side quests, that might be 1 or 2, not all of them. Because it becomes a tedious waste of time if you're just dungeon crawling all the time and you're doing the same thing over and over again. Dot Hack was really bad about that. I enjoyed Dot Hack, the PS2 versions of Dot Hack, but my God, those dungeons were all so repetitive. And it got to a point where I just stopped playing it. I was like, oh man, well, I want to grind. I want to get in here and do all these dungeons, but they're all the same dungeon. It's all the same thing. So enough of that. Next gen, we've got huge teams working on these things. Video games are a multi-billion-dollar company. You can give us those sweet side quests. So I want to see Final Fantasy XVI lead the charge on that. CD Projekt Red is already doing an amazing job with side quests. The Witcher 3 had some of the best side quests I've ever played in a video game. Still playing in a video game. I haven't even gotten through most of them. I'll take a side quest and it's 2 or 3 hours. It's 2 or 3 fulfilling hours. Wears you out. You have to put it down for a little while, but man, they do a great job. Square Enix needs to take some notes from any companies out there. No disrespect intended, but I think they could look at CD Projekt Red and be like, okay, these guys, what are they doing well? And then what can we Square Enix it with in a good way? Square Enix, when they flex their muscles, they are one of the biggest, most badass game developers on the planet. Problem is, sometimes they take too long and they phone it in. And I think that's what a lot of people were afraid of with Final Fantasy VII Remake, but seeing all the stuff I've seen so far, you got the right team, they're making the right decisions, they're doing the right stuff, this game's going to be amazing. Final Fantasy XVI should be amazing as well. It should be absolutely breathtaking. And they're developing it solely for PS5, and I don't see any reason why it can't be. So a large and expansive world that's always evolving based on the decisions you make, and not in a generic kind of way. Not in like a Assassin's Creed kind of way, where it's like, okay, I freed this section of the city and now it looks clean. No, I don't want that. I want it to make a difference on the outcome of the story, affect your ending, affect all these different aspects of the game. So that's what I would like to see, and tons of side quests that matter. You know what I mean? Like I said, I think if you shore it up, give us a 25 to 30 hour story, and you can give us 20 to 30 hours of side quests. If the side quests matter, it fleshes out your game. If the side quests have story implications, it adds to your story. So essentially, you're playing a 25 to 30 hour story that could be a 30 to 60 hour story if you do your side quests and you do it right. So I'm going to leave it at that. But the Final Fantasy XVI, we need to start thinking about it. I think they're already in pre-production mode. I know nothing about it. I was just thinking about it today as I was looking at, I have this collector's edition of Final Fantasy XIV over here, and I got to looking at the art, and I was like, man, you know what? I'm going to do that Final Fantasy XVI video I've been sitting on for a while. So anyway, what do you all think about Final Fantasy XVI? Do you think it's going to be coming in the next couple of years? Do you think we're going to get this PS5? They're supposed to be doing a PS5 launch event announcement sometime. People have been speculating. Could be March, could be May, could be this summer. Nobody knows, but people are saying that there could be a Final Fantasy XVI trailer attached. That'd be cool, and we'll get an idea of where this game's going. I don't want super crazy sci-fi high-tech on this game. I want to call back to classic Final Fantasy. I want to see what Final Fantasy 4, 5, or 6 would look like in next-gen graphics. That kind of world. Final Fantasy XIV does a good job of getting close, but some of those earlier Final Fantasy games that are just amazing, especially 5 and 6, are just amazing, and it would be fantastic to see what those could look like on PS5, like that kind of world, that kind of aesthetic. So music, art, the team you put on it, it all matters. So that's my wish list. So anyway, let me know what you all think. I know some of that probably can't happen, but that's just that's the direction I would like to see them go. The level of care I would like to see them take with it. Anyway, post y'all's comments. Let me know what you think. If you like this video and like other videos like it on my channel, please give the video a like, share it around, let people know. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I try to talk to as many of you in the comments as I possibly can. I love hanging out with you all, creating this community, and being a part of this community. It's so fun. You guys are awesome. So subscribe to the channel, click the bell for all notifications when I go live. If you have not followed me on Twitch, I'm beginning starting Chrono Trigger on Twitch. So it's twitch.tv/Ray Kaufman. You can follow me on there. And I will catch you all in the next video. More to come. Always more to come. So please keep rocking. Enjoy your all's week. And I'll be talking to you all soon. And been talking to a lot of you all on Twitter here lately, so that's been a lot of fun. So my Twitter's been blowing up with you guys. We're just chatting Final Fantasy and gaming and stuff, so we're just having some fun. You can follow me on Twitter at Kaufman20XX, at COFFMAN20XX. So I'll catch y'all later. Y'all keep rocking, and I'll see you down the road. Take care of each other. Be good.